the tiny crowned girl who carried a human secret inside her. The moon was called Ash Moon because its ground was gray and soft like burned stone. Long ago, fires had crossed its surface, and nothing green ever grew again. Small cities made of metal and bones stood under a pale sky. Many alien clans lived there, but none of them trusted each other. They fought often, then rested, then fought again. No one truly ruled Ash Moon. In the center city, there was a palace that looked too large for the land around it. The palace had been built by many hands over many years. Each clan had added something, hoping to leave a mark of power. Inside this palace lived a girl named Lyra. Lyra was very small. Even for her people, she was tiny. Her arms were thin, her legs weak, and her voice soft. She was younger than most expected a ruler to be, but she wore a crown. The crown was old and smooth, made of dark metal that did not shine. No one remembered who made it. It had been found buried deep under Ash Moon, inside a silent chamber. When the clans touched it, nothing happened. When soldiers tried to break it, their tools failed. But when Lyra had touched it, the crown had moved on its own and settled on her head. That was why she was made queen. Most did not believe in her. They called her the Small Queen when they thought she could not hear. Some laughed, some waited for her to fail. A few feared her without knowing why. Lyra herself did not understand why the crown chose her. She did not feel strong or wise. She felt tired most days. Her body often hurt for reasons she could not explain. At night, she had strange dreams. In those dreams, she saw stars that were not like the stars above Ash Moon. She saw blue light and wide ships shaped like arrows. She heard a voice that spoke slowly, carefully, as if it was afraid of being forgotten. When she woke, the voice was gone. On the day the story truly began, Lyra stood alone on the high balcony of the palace. Below her, the city moved like a restless animal. Traders argued, guards watched, machines hummed. The sky was heavy with dust. Behind her, the doors opened quietly. A guard stepped out. His name was Tarn. He was tall, with dark skin and eyes that missed nothing. He had served many leaders before, and most of them had died badly. "They are meeting again," Tarn said. "The clan heads. They question the crown." Lyra nodded. "They always do." "They question you," Tarn corrected. Lyra did not answer. She looked at her hands. They were shaking slightly. She hid them by folding her arms. Tarn watched her closely. He had noticed things others ignored. He noticed how Lyra learned faster than expected, how she remembered maps after seeing them once, how fear did not stop her, even when it should have.
"Do you hear it again?" Tarn asked quietly. Lyra hesitated.
"At night," she said. "Only at night." Tarn did not ask more. He had learned that pressing her too hard caused pain behind her eyes. They walked back inside together. The meeting chamber was wide and cold. Stone seats formed a circle. The clan heads were already there. Some wore armor. Some wore cloth. All wore expressions of doubt. "The crown reacts again," one of them said. "Energy spikes at night. Ancient weapons do that," another replied. "We should remove it." "We cannot," said a third. "The crown will not allow it." She stood small in the center of the chamber. The crown rested lightly on her head, but she felt its weight inside her mind. "I do not control it," Lyra said softly. "It acts on its own." "That is the problem," one of them said. Before anyone could answer, the lights flickered. A low sound filled the chamber, like a deep breath. Lyra froze. Her heart began to race. The sound did not come from the palace. It came from inside her. Her vision blurred. For a moment she thought she might fall. Then the voice returned. Not in her ears, but in her thoughts. "Awake?" it said. She gasped. Tarn moved closer, ready to catch her. The clan heads shouted. Guards raised weapons. The crown began to glow with a soft blue light. Inside Lyra's mind, images rushed forward. A human hand reaching out. Blood floating in air. A small device pressed gently against her chest long ago, when she had been much younger. A stranger's face, pale and tired, smiling with relief. "Protect this," the voice said. "You are the last safe place." The light faded. The chamber fell silent. Lyra was breathing hard. Her knees felt weak. Tarn supported her without thinking. "What happened?" one of the clan heads demanded. "I do not know," Lyra said truthfully. But deep inside, something had changed. The voice did not fade this time. It stayed, quiet but present, like a watchful shadow. That night, Lyra did not sleep. She sat alone in her chamber, staring at the wall. The voice spoke again, slow and careful. "My name no longer matters," it said. "I am a human." Lyra swallowed. "Humans are myths." "We became myths on purpose," the voice replied. Images flowed into her mind. Humans walking on green worlds.
Humans building ships? Humans fighting wars they could not win?
Humans choosing another path. "We hid," the voice said. "Not our bodies, our minds." Lyra felt pain in her chest, sharp and deep. She gasped. "There is something inside me," she said. "Yes," the voice answered. "I am inside you." Fear finally reached her. "Am I dying?" "No," said the voice. "You are protecting me." Outside the palace, far beyond Ash Moon, a signal moved through space. It was old, weak, but real. Machines that had slept for centuries noticed it. On a distant ship, figures gathered around a screen. The symbol that appeared made them tense. "A human signal," one said. "That is impossible," another replied. "It is active," the first insisted. They changed course without debate. Back on Ash Moon, Lyra pressed her hands against her chest. She felt something there, something warm and steady, like a second heart. "Why me?" she asked the voice. "Because you were kind," it said, "and because no one was watching." Lyra closed her eyes. She did not know that hunters were already on their way. She did not know that the crown was more than a symbol. She only knew that a secret older than empires was alive inside her, and that the night felt suddenly very short. The night was darker than usual on Ash Moon. Dust storms swept across the broken plains, carrying the faint smell of iron and fire. Lyra sat on the balcony of her small chamber, the crown glowing faintly on her head. The voice inside her whispered again, slow and careful. "Sleep is dangerous now," it said.
They will come for you. Lyra pulled her thin cloak tighter around her shoulders. She had never felt so small and alone.
Yet at the same time she felt power stirring inside her chest. The device, the secret human mind. It gave her more than knowledge. It gave her courage. She could feel thoughts forming faster, connections she had never known before. Tarn appeared quietly behind her. He had been standing guard all night, as always, though no one ever ordered him to stay this long.
"They are moving," he said. His voice was low but urgent.
"Hunters from the Oran Combine. They are crossing the craters to the city. They know something is alive in you." Lyra did not turn. She watched the stars, which were faint and cold behind the dusty clouds. "The crown feels different tonight," she said. "It is trying to warn me, I think." "Yes," the voice inside her replied. "It knows. It listens to humans now. We can move before they reach the gates."
Lyra swallowed. She had never left the palace by choice.
She had never seen the moonside plains except from above, and she had never faced enemies in the open. But the voice inside her did not speak of fear. It spoke of possibility. "We must go," Tarn said. "I can get you out through the old tunnels beneath the city. Few know of them now." Lyra nodded. She moved quickly, faster than her small body should have allowed. The crown pulsed faintly, as if approving her choice. The tunnels were dark and narrow. The walls were made of ash stone, soft in some places, hard in others. Lyra followed Tarn silently, the faint glow of her crown lighting their path. Every step echoed in the hollow space. Shadows danced along the walls. "You are not just a girl," Tarn said quietly. "You carry something they have hunted for 1,000 years, something alive, hidden inside you. They will not stop until it is gone." "I am afraid," Lyra admitted, her voice barely a whisper. "I do not know what I am carrying. I only know it speaks to me." "That is enough," Tarn said. "That is why you survive." Hours passed as they moved through the tunnels. Sometimes the walls seemed to shift. The crown hummed softly, guiding them around obstacles. Then, in a wide chamber beneath the city, Lyra paused. The walls were covered with carvings she had never noticed before. Symbols, stars, and strange faces that seemed almost human. The voice inside her stirred. "Humans once walked here," it said. "They left memories for those who could understand." Lyra reached out and touched a carving. Images filled her mind. A green world, tall towers, machines and ships that moved faster than thought, humans speaking, planning, choosing to vanish instead of surrendering. Her chest ached with the weight of understanding. "They hid their minds," the voice explained. "Not their bodies. Not here. They are in places like you now. Small, hidden, forgotten. But alive?" Lyra shivered. "Ah! Why me? Why now?" "Because you are kind," the voice said. "Because you are not watching for power. You were watching for what was right." Tarn's hand touched her shoulder. "We must keep moving," he said. "If the Oran Combine finds you here, none of these carvings will matter. They will try to kill you and take what you carry." They continued. The tunnels twisted like the roots of a dead tree. Every so often, Lyra felt the crown pulse, warning her. The voice inside her gave directions in flashes of thought. She began to see patterns in the walls, numbers and signs she could read without knowing she knew them. Finally, they reached a hidden exit near the cliffs outside the city. The wind hit them with cold, ash-laden air. Beyond the cliff, the broken plains stretched endlessly. In the distance, dust storms moved like predators. But beyond the storms, faint lights shimmered, ships moving silently. "They are faster than I thought," Tarn said, squinting. "They will reach us soon." The crown pulsed brighter. Lyra felt herself growing stronger, faster, sharper. She was still small. She was still young. But she was no longer powerless. The voice spoke again. "You can hide but you can also fight. You can teach them what humans can do. We do not fight with weapons. We fight with knowledge.
Knowledge, Lyra whispered. She had never seen a real human, but she could feel their presence in her mind.
Their courage, their patience, their wisdom. She felt their will inside her chest, like a heartbeat separate from her own. Suddenly, a shadow moved across the plains below. Lyra's crown pulsed violently. She lifted her head and saw the first Orin scouts approaching. They were fast, with armor that reflected the dim light. Their weapons glowed with energy. Tarn crouched beside her. "You have to go," he said. "I will slow them."
The cliffs can hide you if you move carefully. Lyra's small heart raced.
She could not imagine leaving him behind, but she trusted the voice. She nodded. The crown guided her down a narrow path along the cliff, weaving through rocks and crevices. The scouts moved in waves, scanning the land with sensors that Lyra had never seen. But the crown pulsed with a quiet rhythm, and Lyra followed it, stepping lightly, barely touching the ground. The voice spoke with urgency now. "Do not stop. They must not see the human inside you." Hours seemed to pass, though the night did not change. Lyra finally reached a hidden canyon. There, she paused and looked back. She could see the faint glow of the city in the distance, the palace where she had been small and afraid. She felt a pang of longing, but also understanding. She could not go back. She was no longer just a girl. Tarn appeared at the canyon's edge, holding off the scouts with small energy pulses, daring them to come closer. "Go!" he shouted. "Go now!" Lyra ran, her small legs carrying her farther than she thought possible. The crown hummed louder with each step. She felt the device inside her chest respond to it, as if awakening after a long sleep. Thoughts and memories of humans flooded her mind. She began to understand patterns in the sand, in the wind, in the way the ships moved above. By the time dawn touched the broken plains, Lyra was far from the city. She crouched behind a jagged rock, exhausted, trembling, but alive. She pressed her hands to her chest. The voice spoke once more. "They know you are alive. They will not stop, but you are ready. You carry more than secrets. You carry a choice." Lyra nodded, though no one could see. She had no idea what choice she would make, but she felt it growing inside her. She was small, yes, she was young, but inside her, a human mind, a human will, and human knowledge waited. And soon the galaxy would feel it. Tarn returned quietly, his face scratched and darkened by the journey. "You are safe for now," he said. "But we must leave Ash Moon completely. The Orin Combine will not give up." Lyra stood, tiny but steady. "Then we leave," she said. Her voice carried a new strength, a new certainty. The winds of Ash Moon tore around them, carrying the dust of 1,000 forgotten fires. Lyra looked to the horizon. Somewhere out there, across endless space, humans had left secrets, and she was now their guardian. The crown pulsed one last time before fading softly. Lyra pressed her hand to it, feeling its warmth. For the first time, she believed in herself, and far away, ships changed course. The galaxy was beginning to notice the smallest queen of Ash Moon, and the secret she carried inside her. The plains beyond Ash Moon stretched endlessly, gray and jagged, under a sky thick with dust. Lyra moved carefully with Tarn at her side. Each step was quiet, but she could feel the weight of the Orin Combine closing in behind them. The crown pulsed faintly on her head, like a heartbeat reminding her she was not alone. Tarn had said little since leaving the cliffs. His eyes scanned constantly, and his hands were ready to fight at any moment. Lyra followed his lead, small and quiet, but she could feel the device inside her chest stirring with each pulse of the crown. The human voice whispered in her mind, calm but urgent. "We must find the ruins," it said. "That is where humans left their memories. That is where you will understand." Lyra nodded, though her throat was tight. She had no idea what the ruins would be like, only that they were far away, across plains broken by dust storms and jagged cliffs. Each step felt heavier than the last, but she moved forward, driven by something she did not yet understand. The first ruins appeared at dusk. Broken walls rose from the gray ground, jagged like teeth. Ships lay half buried in the ash, their metal shells twisted and silent. Lyra felt the crown grow warmer, pulsing faster. The human voice spoke again. "Touch them. Learn from them. The past can guide you." She reached out and ran her fingers over a broken panel of a ship. Instantly, flashes of memory filled her mind. Humans walking on bright green worlds. Ships moving faster than she could imagine. People speaking, laughing, teaching, and then fighting wars they could not win. Finally, she saw the choice humans had made, vanishing not from the universe but from bodies, their minds hidden in places small, secret, protected. Lyra gasped and pulled back. Her chest ached as if the memories pressed against her skin. She could feel the human device inside her responding, awakening to its own history. Tarn put a hand on her shoulder.
"Are you all right?" he asked. I can see them," Lyra said, her voice trembling.
Humans, they left themselves behind. Not their bodies, but their minds. They hid in devices, in places, in people. I carry one of them. Tarn did not speak. He only looked at her with wide eyes, understanding more than she realized. Suddenly, the sound of engines broke the silence. Lyra froze. The Aran Combine had tracked them. Scouts in sleek black ships appeared on the horizon, moving quickly toward the ruins. Lyra's heart raced. "They will not stop," the voice said. "You must hide. Then you must act." Lyra nodded. She ducked behind a broken wall, Tarn covering her side. The Aran ships landed, and soldiers poured out, scanning the ruins. Their weapons glowed faintly as they searched. Lyra's crown pulsed violently. She could feel the thoughts of humans around her, guiding her, warning her. "Do not fear them," the voice said. "They are slower than thought." "You are faster." Lyra took a deep breath. She stepped out from the wall, small and trembling, and reached for a control panel buried in the ruins. Machines that had slept for centuries hummed to life. Ships that had been broken stirred as if waking from a long sleep. The Aran soldiers froze. One of them fired, but the shot went wild as systems around them began moving without human hands. Doors slammed shut. Machinery rose and fell. It was as if the ruins themselves had become alive. Tarn moved quickly to protect Lyra, but she stopped him. The crown pulsed brighter, and she realized she could control it, at least a little. She focused on the patterns in her mind, following the instructions the human voice gave her. The ruined machines obeyed. They formed barriers, blocked paths, and confused the soldiers. The Aran soldiers shouted, firing randomly, but the ruins shifted, creating walls and traps without warning. Lyra's small hands moved across panels she did not understand, guided by memories that were not hers, yet were hers now. "Keep moving," the voice said. "Learn, protect, survive." Hours passed. Lyra and Tarn moved through the ruins, deeper into the heart of the human memory. Panels lit up, walls moved, and symbols appeared on the floors and ceilings. Lyra touched one, and an image appeared in her mind. A human scientist, named Ira. She was speaking to others, explaining how humans had hidden themselves, how they had chosen to vanish. They hid to survive, the voice explained. They left their minds in places like this, protected until someone worthy could find them.
You are the first to awaken fully.
Others failed. They died.
Lyra's chest tightened.
Others?
Yes, the voice said.
You are not the first human mind carried in another being, but you are the last to survive. They trusted you, even before you were born. Tarn glanced around nervously.
We cannot stay here, he said. They will bring reinforcements.
The Orin Combine does not stop. I know, Lyra said. But I must learn more. We cannot just run. They moved deeper into the ruins, where a large chamber lay buried under rubble. The crown pulsed fiercely as Lyra approached. She touched a central console, and the human memories flooded her mind again. She saw humans walking on green worlds, building cities, and then choosing to vanish from history. She felt their hope and their fear. She understood their decision to leave the universe with guidance, not weapons. This is why they trusted us, the voice said. You will carry their knowledge. You will carry their secret. And one day, the galaxy will listen. Outside, the Orin forces had brought heavy machinery. They began clearing rubble, advancing toward the chamber. Lyra felt a new surge of energy from the crown. The device inside her chest responded instantly. She understood now that she could move systems, communicate with machines, and guide them with thought alone. Tarn watched, awe and fear in his eyes. You are more than I thought, he said. Lyra did not answer. Her small hands moved over panels instinctively. Broken machines reassembled themselves. Energy fields rose from the floor, invisible walls blocking soldiers. The Orin soldiers tried to fight, but every action was countered before it could happen. Hours seemed to stretch as Lyra worked. The ruins became alive around her, protecting her, hiding her. Yet she was exhausted. Her small body trembled with strain. The voice whispered encouragement, telling her to focus, to survive. Then, a sound she had not expected, a human voice, clear and alive, spoke through the ruins. You carry me, it said. Do not fail. Lyra gasped. The voice was not just inside her mind anymore. It was everywhere. Machines, panels, even the air seemed to carry it. She realized the human consciousness had integrated with the ruins. It was as if they had prepared for this moment, waiting for someone small, someone careful, someone kind. The Orin soldiers panicked. Their weapons malfunctioned. Doors slammed shut. Energy pulses forced them back. Lyra understood the thought patterns now. She was guiding the ruins, following human logic and strategy. She was no longer just small and weak. She was a guardian, a protector of knowledge, a child who carried the legacy of an extinct species. Tarn stayed close, protecting her, but he understood she could fight alone now. He had never seen such power. Night fell, and the last of the Orin forces retreated, confused and defeated. The ruins settled into silence again. Lyra sank to the floor, exhausted, small, and trembling. The crown glowed softly. The voice inside her whispered one last time for the night. You have survived. You have learned. But this is only the beginning. Others will come. You must be ready. Lyra pressed her hand to her chest, feeling the device inside her. It was warm and steady, like a heart that was not hers. but beat with her own life. She closed her eyes. For the first time, she felt a true connection to the humans who had hidden themselves. She understood their choices, their courage, and their wisdom. Tarn sat beside her, silent but alert. He knew this night had changed her forever. She was no longer just the small queen of Ash Moon. She was the keeper of human secrets, the guardian of knowledge, and perhaps the most dangerous being the galaxy had never known. Dawn broke slowly over the gray plains. The ruins were silent, hiding their secrets once more. Lyra stood, small but determined, crown on her head, chest burning with knowledge and responsibility. The Aran Combine would come again. Others would come. But for now, she had survived, and the human legacy she carried inside her was safe. And far across the galaxy, signals stirred as though the universe itself had noticed that a new force had awakened, not with armies, not with weapons, but with thought, memory, and the courage of a tiny crowned girl who carried a human secret inside her. The prison ship hung in space like a dark shadow, moving silently between the stars. It was massive, a fortress that no ordinary vessel could escape. Inside, corridors twisted endlessly, walls of cold metal reflecting the faint glow of emergency lights. The Aran Combine had captured Lyra. The tiny queen, the girl who carried a human secret, was now completely alone. Chains held her hands and feet, but she felt the device inside her chest, stirring with power. The crown had been removed. It lay in a small case, cold and lifeless. Lyra pressed her small hands to the chains, her heart beating fast. The human voice always present inside her mind was quiet now, only a whisper. "Do not fear," it said. "Even here you can survive. Even here you can act." Lyra swallowed hard. Fear wanted to rise, but she pushed it down. She had survived tunnels, plains, and ruins. She had outrun hunters and awakened a hidden human mind. This place was different, yes, but she was not powerless. She looked around the corridor. Guards walked past, heavy and confident. Machines monitored every step, every heartbeat. The air smelled of oil and cold metal. Lyra could feel the human mind inside her beginning to unlock something she had never used before. Thought patterns, strategies, calculations. It was like seeing the world in a new language. The first guard stopped at her cell. He looked down at her, his face hidden under a mask. "This one is small," he said. "Does she even know fear?" Lyra said nothing. Her eyes met his. Inside her chest, the device pulsed, and the human mind whispered. "They underestimate you," it said. "That is your advantage." The guard shrugged and moved on. Lyra exhaled quietly. She pressed her hands to the chains again, thinking of everything the humans had left for her. Each memory was a tool, a weapon, a lesson. She could move systems, understand structures, predict actions. The ship might have walls of metal, but it had patterns she could read. Hours passed. Lyra sat in silence, studying everything. The guards spoke occasionally, giving orders, checking machines, never expecting the small girl to understand their world. But she did. Each motion, each sound, each blink of the lights became information she could use. Late in the night, the human voice spoke more clearly than ever. "Activate," it said. "Use the patterns. You are not just small."
You are a human mind alive. Lyra closed her eyes.
The device inside her chest pulsed with warmth and energy. She imagined the walls as they might be if they could move. She imagined the machines obeying her, listening to her thoughts. Slowly, Carefully, she began. Doors clicked. Monitors blinked in strange patterns. Sensors recalibrated, responding to commands she had never spoken aloud. Guards moved closer to check anomalies, but the corridor shifted slightly, subtly, guiding them away from her cell. The first real test came when a patrol tried to open her cell for routine checks. Lyra focused. A lock clicked and turned, but instead of opening, the mechanism jammed. The guard cursed and tried again and again, but every attempt failed. "Impossible," he muttered. Lyra's small hands did nothing, yet everything obeyed her. Systems learned her pattern. The human mind inside her taught her how to move through the ship without moving. She could guide the guards, the doors, the lights, all without stepping from her cell. Hours turned into what felt like days. Lyra felt her strength grow, her understanding widen. She was no longer afraid. She was no longer just a girl. She was a controller, a mind that could bend a machine world with thought alone. Then, alarms rang. Heavy footsteps approached. The Aran Combine had realized something was happening. The corridors shook with the movement of soldiers and machines converging on her cell. The human voice was urgent now. "Prepare. You will need more than patience. You will need to act." Lyra's chest ached. She pressed her hands to her small frame, concentrating. The walls of the corridor ahead began to pulse with invisible energy. Lights flickered in patterns only she could see. She imagined a path, a safe route, and the machines obeyed. When the first guard opened the outer door, a barrier rose from the floor, invisible and strong. He fell back, shocked. Lyra smiled slightly. The human mind inside her guided every pulse, every calculation, predicting every move. Soldiers poured into the corridor, but their weapons misfired. Energy fields closed behind them, blocking reinforcements. Bah! Lyra moved along the patterns she created in her mind, chains falling loose as locks and bars responded to her thought. Tarn's face appeared in her memory. He had warned her that she was stronger than anyone imagined, but even he had not seen this yet. She could feel him with her, guiding her courage. Finally, she stepped into the open corridor, free for the first time in days. The crown was still in its case, but she no longer needed it. The human mind inside her was fully awake, fully alive, and fully ready. The guards panicked. They had never faced this. Machines, walls, and energy pulses all obeyed her silently, invisibly. Lyra moved through the corridors like a ghost, small and fast, unnoticed until it was too late. In the central chamber of the prison ship, the Aran commanders gathered. They spoke urgently, fear rising in their voices. "She has awakened," one said. "The human mind, it is alive. The child controls the systems." "She cannot be controlled," another said. "We must destroy her." The alarms began to blare again. Lyra had already moved. She guided doors to lock, systems to reroute energy. The ship shook under her influence. Soldiers fell back, machines shut down at her thought, and corridors became traps for those who pursued her. She paused in the middle of the central corridor, small and unarmed, yet more powerful than the entire prison ship combined. Her chest ached with effort, but the human mind inside her whispered strategy, patience, and calm.
"You are ready," it said. "They fear what you are."
They should. The Aran commanders realized the truth too late. Their systems were no longer theirs. Machines attacked, not with weapons, but with strategy. Guards were trapped, doors slammed shut, energy fields cut off paths. The tiny girl had become the master of the ship, invisible but unstoppable. Hours passed. Lyra moved silently, guiding the ship through patterns, rerouting control, and neutralizing threats without ever lifting a hand to strike. The human mind inside her taught her precision. Each movement, each thought, each pulse of energy was calculated perfectly. When the last Oran soldier was neutralized or trapped, silence returned to the corridors. Lyra sank to the floor, trembling but victorious. She pressed her hands to her chest, feeling the warmth of the device, the presence of the human mind.
"You have survived," it whispered. "You have learned control."
You are no longer just a girl. You are a force they cannot understand.
The crown, still in its case, glimmered faintly under the emergency lights. Lyra reached for it, but the human voice stopped her. "You do not need it," it said. "You have become more than the crown. You are the human mind alive. You are the legacy." Lyra smiled slightly, exhausted. She had no idea what would come next, but she understood one thing clearly. She was no longer small. She was not powerless. The prison ship, once a symbol of defeat, was now hers to control. Outside, the stars moved slowly, indifferent to battles and victories, but inside Lyra, a storm of human knowledge and courage raged. The galaxy would notice soon. She pressed her hands to her chest and whispered to the human mind inside her, "We are ready." And far beyond the prison ship, fleets of the Oran Combine were already changing course, sensing the awakening of something they could not understand. A tiny crowned girl who carried a human secret inside her, more dangerous than any weapon they had ever known. The device inside Lyra's chest pulsed with warmth and life. She was small, yes, and she had been weak, but now she was more than small. She was unstoppable, invisible, and brilliant in ways no one had expected. And in the quiet, the human voice whispered once more, "Soon they will learn. Soon the galaxy will remember what humans were capable of. You are the key. You are the choice, and you are ready." Lyra moved quietly through space aboard the commandeered prison ship. The Oran Combine's fleets were scattered, confused, and wary. The human mind inside her pulsed with knowledge, guiding her every decision. She had survived, learned, and grown stronger than she had ever imagined. The galaxy was wide, full of worlds that had never seen humans, full of beings that feared what they did not understand. And now she held the key. Tarn moved beside her on the bridge, silent but alert. He had followed her through the tunnels, plains, ruins, and prison ship, and he had seen the transformation happen. Lyra was no longer just a small girl. She was a guardian, a controller, a strategist. Every system on the ship obeyed her. Every machine moved with her thought. The Oran Combine, once confident in their power, had no idea what had just awakened. "Where are we going?" Tarn asked quietly. "The ruins are safe, but we cannot stay there forever." Lyra pressed her small hands to the control panels, feeling the warmth of the human mind inside her. "We go where they will watch," she said. "We go where they will reveal themselves. We test them. We see who can be trusted and who cannot." The ship moved silently through space, following paths few knew existed. Lyra had learned patterns in the signals humans had left behind. She could trace fleets, read their communications, and predict their moves. The human mind inside her had been preparing her for this. Every calculation, every warning, every memory was part of a plan she did not yet fully understand. Hours passed. The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of the ship's systems. Lyra's small hands moved across panels she had never studied before, guided by instinct and human memory. The stars outside seemed indifferent to the drama unfolding within the ship. but Lyra knew the galaxy would not remain indifferent for long. Then sensors picked up a distant fleet. Tarn leaned over the console. "They are coming toward us. Orange scouts, I think." Lyra studied the readings. The fleet was not large, but it was organized, disciplined, and well-armed. The Auran Combine had learned of her survival and was sending forces to capture her again. She pressed her hands to her chest, feeling the pulse of the human mind inside her. "They will come," the voice said. "Let them. They will show us what they are. You will choose who lives and who fails." Lyra nodded, though her small shoulders carried a weight far beyond her years. She moved quickly, rerouting energy to shield the ship, creating decoys and manipulating sensor readings. The approaching fleet saw multiple ships where there was only one. Their weapons fired, but the ship's systems redirected the blasts. The fleet's commanders cursed and tried again, but every step was anticipated, every move countered. "You are extraordinary," Tarn whispered. "I have never seen anything like this." "I am not extraordinary," Lyra said quietly. "I am carrying something extraordinary. Humans left this for a reason. I only follow their guidance." Hours passed as the fleet attempted to engage. Lyra tested them, creating illusions, traps, and obstacles. She studied their reactions, understanding their strengths, weaknesses, and greed. The human mind inside her whispered constantly, guiding, teaching, warning. Finally, the fleet retreated, confused and frustrated. Lyra let out a small breath. She had tested them. She had learned. She had survived again. "We cannot let them know the full truth," the human voice said. "They must be guided, not destroyed." "This is a test, and you are the teacher." Lyra nodded. She understood now. She was not here to conquer the galaxy. She was here to show it a path humans had left behind, a choice between wisdom and destruction. She would let some learn. Others would fail, and in the end, the galaxy would be different. The next day, Lyra and Tarn arrived at a small world, barely inhabited, where humans had left signals long ago. The planet was covered in deserts and ruins. Broken cities rose from the sand, silent and empty. Lyra felt the pulse of the human mind intensify. "This is one of the places," the voice said. "You will awaken it, and others will come to answer." Lyra stepped onto the surface, small against the wide expanse of sand and broken towers. Tarn followed, carrying supplies. They moved carefully through the ruins, following paths the humans had left. Panels, machines, and signals hummed in response to her presence. She could feel every pattern, every line of energy, every signal. Finally, they reached a central chamber, buried beneath layers of sand. Lyra touched the floor. Machines rose from the ground, panels lit with information, and symbols appeared on the walls. Lyra's mind was flooded with memories, humans, ships, cities, plans, warnings, and lessons. She understood now the depth of what they had left behind. "They hid knowledge, not bodies," the voice said. "They trusted you to protect it, to teach it, to guide others who are worthy." Lyra nodded, small hands trembling with the weight of understanding. She had been a girl, weak and tiny, but now she carried the legacy of a species that had chosen thought over force, wisdom over power. Hours later, new ships appeared in orbit. Beings from nearby systems had detected the human signal. Some came with peace in mind, others with greed and curiosity. Lyra studied them all, reading signals, patterns, intentions. The human mind inside her guided her choices. She allowed some to approach, guiding them safely to the ruins. Others she blocked, creating illusions and false readings. She was not cruel, but she was careful. Every being that entered her sphere was tested. Every action, every reaction, every choice revealed who could be trusted and who could not. Among the newcomers was Ira, a scientist from a distant world. She had studied ancient human history and believed humans had vanished to protect the galaxy. Lyra welcomed her cautiously, letting the human mind judge her intentions. Ira's curiosity was genuine, her respect real, and the human mind approved.
"You may help," Lyra whispered.
But only with guidance, nothing more. Ira nodded, amazed by the small girl who commanded ruins, machines, and patterns. She had heard stories of humans, but never imagined their legacy alive in someone so young. Days passed. Lyra learned, guided, and tested the galaxy. Fleets and beings responded to her signals. Some were honest, seeking knowledge. Others were greedy, seeking control. The human mind inside her taught patience, strategy, and caution. Lyra had become not just a guardian, but a teacher, a judge, a force invisible yet undeniable. One night, she looked at Tarn. "Do you understand now?" she asked. Tarn nodded. "You are no longer just the small queen. You are something they cannot fight with weapons. They cannot stop what they do not understand." Lyra pressed her hands to her chest. The human device pulsed with warmth. "This is only the beginning," she said. "We will see who is worthy. We will see who survives. And the galaxy will remember humans, not as conquerors, but as teachers." The stars outside were silent witnesses to her words. The galaxy would feel the awakening of something new, something invisible but powerful, guided by thought, strategy, and the courage of a tiny crowned girl who carried a human secret inside her. And far across systems fleets shifted, leaders debated, and whispers spread of a small girl who controlled machines, knowledge, and patterns in ways no one had ever seen. The galaxy was beginning to change, slowly, carefully, and under the quiet guidance of one who carried a human secret. The human mind inside her whispered once more, "You are ready for what comes next. They will test you, tempt you, and fear you. But you are ready. The choice is yours." Lyra smiled faintly, small and tired, yet stronger than anyone could imagine. "Then we continue," she said. And the galaxy waited. The galaxy was quiet, but only for a moment. Lyra stood on the bridge of the ship, small hands pressed to the panels that hummed under her touch. The human mind inside her pulsed strongly now, alive, awake, and ready. Systems across space, hidden for centuries, responded to her thoughts. Ships, machines, and archives long forgotten stirred at her command. Lyra had come far from Ash Moon, from the ruins, from the prison ship. She had tested the galaxy, studied its patterns, and learned who could be trusted and who would fail. Tarn stood beside her, silent and watchful. He had seen her grow from a small, frightened girl into a force that no fleet, no army, could stop. His eyes followed her every move as she pressed her hands to the controls, feeling the rhythm of something older than any empire. "They are awake," the human voice said, calm and steady inside her mind. "All the systems we hid, all the minds we placed in waiting, they respond to your thought. You may guide them or leave them asleep. The choice is yours." Lyra's chest ached with the weight of understanding. She had carried humans inside her from the very beginning. She had survived the Combine, survived fleets, survived traps and tests. Now she understood what the humans had truly left for her. Not weapons, not armies, not power, but choice. She could awaken the galaxy in their image, reshape it without killing a single being. "Then we do it," she said quietly, almost to herself. Her small fingers danced across the panels, sending pulses of thought into hidden networks across systems. Fleets stirred in response. Ships long thought destroyed, lifted from debris fields. Machines on barren planets began to hum again. Ancient archives opened automatically, revealing knowledge and technology humans had hidden. Lyra could feel every mind, every signal, every response as clearly as if it were in the room with her. The galaxy was listening, and some were afraid. Signals came from empires that had grown strong in humans' absence. They sent fleets to investigate, to capture, to destroy what they did not understand. But Lyra was faster than their weapons. She guided the hidden systems to block fleets, redirect sensors, and isolate threats. Not a single shot was fired, yet entire forces were paralyzed, unable to approach. "Is this safe?" Tarn asked, his voice low. "It is," Lyra said. "We do not destroy. We guide. We teach. Humans never wanted war. They wanted survival. That is what I am showing them." Across systems, leaders, and fleets reacted differently. Some saw the signals and paused, curious and cautious. They approached with respect, following instructions only they could see. Others ignored the warnings, greedy or arrogant, and found themselves isolated, powerless, trapped by machines and systems they could not control. In one distant system, Lyra sensed a scientist named Ira observing her work. She had followed the signals faithfully, guided by curiosity and respect. Lyra allowed her to see the patterns, to study the hidden machines, and to learn the lessons humans had left. Ira's eyes widened as she realized the depth of what was happening. A tiny girl, small and young, was controlling the galaxy not with armies, but with knowledge, precision, and patience. "You understand?" Lyra whispered to the human mind inside her. "This is what they wanted." "Yes," the voice said, "and now you carry it fully. Every mind that trusted you, every system that responded, every choice you make will shape the future." The galaxy shifted quietly. Fleets moved in new formations. Cities long abandoned hummed with power, and machines long silent began to teach and observe. Lyra moved carefully, testing each system, ensuring no harm came to those who were worthy. Some beings tried to fight. Fleets ignored the warnings and advanced aggressively. But Lyra guided the systems with precision. Sensors trapped their movements, energy fields redirected their ships, and communications were disrupted without destruction. She was not cruel, but she was careful. Every action was a lesson, every response a warning. Hours turned to days. Lyra studied, guided, and observed. She let some worlds advance, rewarded those who showed wisdom, and blocked those who showed greed. The galaxy responded to her without knowing it. Everywhere she touched, systems obeyed, adjusted, and learned. Tarn watched in silence, amazed by the calm and patience of the tiny girl who had become more powerful than entire fleets. "I never imagined this," he said. "No one could fight her. No one could even resist her guidance." Lyra pressed her small hands to her chest. The human mind pulsed warmly, like a heartbeat that was not hers, yet part of her. She thought of Ash Moon, of the ruins, of the prison ship, and of every challenge she had faced. She had survived them all, and now the galaxy was learning the lesson humans had left behind. Then a signal appeared. Far across space, hidden in the void, a network of ships and machines responded to her thoughts. It was the last system humans had buried, a network so vast that its power could reshape worlds. Lyra pressed her hands to the panels, guiding the system awake. Lights blinked across networks. Machines moved with purpose, and knowledge flowed like rivers in the stars. "This is it," the human voice said, "the culmination of what we left."
You carry it, and you will guide it. The galaxy will never be the same.
Lyra nodded, small but steady. She had no crown, no armies, no weapons. She had thought, memory, knowledge, and patience. She had survived every test. She had guided some, taught others, and shown restraint to those who did not deserve power. The galaxy changed quietly at first. Fleets rearranged, empires reconsidered their actions, and machines began to operate in ways they never had before. No shots were fired, no lives were lost, yet everything was transformed. Worlds that had been abandoned now pulsed with energy. Knowledge long hidden was shared with those who were worthy. Systems once thought lost now served a new purpose. Lyra walked among the consoles, tiny hands moving across the panels. The human mind inside her guided her every step, every thought, every decision. She could feel the galaxy itself responding, slowly, carefully, as if it understood that something greater than force had awakened. Then, Tarn spoke softly.
You have done more than survive. You have changed everything.
They will remember humans now, not for war, but for wisdom, not for weapons, but for knowledge. Lyra pressed her hands to her chest. The device inside her pulsed warmly, like a second heartbeat. "We did not fight," she said. "We only guided." That is what they wanted. That is what humans always wanted. Across space, fleets and systems responded to her guidance. Those who had been greedy or reckless were blocked, isolated, and forced to reconsider. Those who had been wise and cautious were rewarded, given access to knowledge, machines, and systems that would allow them to grow. Lyra had become not a conqueror, but a teacher, a guardian, and a judge. Finally, she reached for the crown. It was still small and smooth, glowing faintly. She lifted it, but the human mind inside her whispered caution. "You do not need it," it said. "You are more than the crown. You are the culmination of what humans left behind. The galaxy responds to your mind, not symbols." Lyra smiled slightly. She placed the crown down. She had survived every test. She had guided fleets, systems, and worlds. She had learned every lesson, passed every trial, and understood the weight of human knowledge. She was small, yes, but she was unstoppable in ways no one had imagined. The galaxy shifted quietly. Knowledge flowed where it had been hidden. Systems awakened where they had been dormant, and beings who had never known humans felt their influence through her. Lyra pressed her hands to her chest. The human mind pulsed warmly. "You have done well," it said. "We are complete. The legacy is safe. Humanity is remembered, not in bodies, not in wars, but in thought, guidance, and wisdom." Lyra looked at Tarn. "It is finished," she said quietly. "The galaxy will remember, not for what humans could destroy, but for what humans could teach. And now we leave it to grow." Tarn nodded. "You are no longer just the small queen," he said. "You are a force that even empires cannot resist. You are the human secret alive." Lyra pressed her hands to her chest one last time. She had carried humans inside her from the very beginning. She had survived, learned, guided, and changed the galaxy. She was small, yes, and fragile, but she was now more than anyone had ever imagined. And across the stars, fleets shifted, systems responded, and the galaxy learned that humans had never truly been gone. They had left their legacy in the mind of a tiny crowned girl who carried their secret inside her, a force of wisdom, guidance, and patience that no weapon could challenge. Lyra walked quietly from the control panels. The stars outside shimmered, indifferent, yet alive with new possibilities. She pressed her hands to her chest one final time and whispered to the human mind within. "Rest now," she said. "The galaxy will grow." The human mind pulsed warmly one last time, and silence returned. Humanity had not come back in bodies, but it had returned in thought, knowledge, and guidance, and Lyra, small, crowned, and steady, had made it so. The galaxy was no longer the same, and she walked quietly into it, unknown, free, and more powerful than anyone could imagine.